I don't care. That's a Robert's Rules thing, but that is not a, no, if you want, start at Todd, and then next time start at Bill, and then next time start at
Yeah,
Robert.
there you go.
Oh, I just started the ad.
Yeah, you could do that and then go back around. You can start wherever you want.
Yeah, anything you want. I think technically you're not supposed to start.
Power of the court.
Well, Robert's Rules says.
Maybe you'll run for clerk next time, huh?
It makes it look. Okay, with that, welcome everybody. I would like to call to order the March 3rd, 2025 Genoa Charter Township Board of Trustees regular meeting. Will you please join me for the invocation? Dear God, as we begin this challenging meeting, please fill all of our hearts with your peace and calm, all of the minds present this evening. We ask that you guide our words to be respectful and constructive, and grant us the patience to listen deeply to one another. Please help us find common ground amidst disagreement, and help us work together toward a positive outcome. We pray for your wisdom and grace in this moment. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Barter.
Here.
Susie.
Here.
Deaton here. Spiker.
Here.
Hunt.
Here.
Schreiber.
Here.
Walker.
Here.
And Mr. Joe.
Here. Okay, with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Call to the public? Call the public?
Whoopsie. One too soon. Okay, we will open our first call to the public. Patty, if you'd like.
Melanie Johnson. Hi, good evening. I just wanted to express, before we begin, I appreciate that you will take, are in the process of looking to take another look at the master plan. I feel like the vision has shifted, public interest has shifted, and I feel like it's really important to re-engage, and I appreciate the reaching out through different methods, because I think that's going to be important. We might get 10 here, we might get 10 there, but I hope to see a lot more involvement and interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie.
Chris, I can't read your last name, Rams?
Do we have a Chris?
Oh, I'm sorry, that was the wrong one. So I'm so sorry. Debbie.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm always here with something fun to say. What I wanted to say is this agenda is so full of important things, and I'm surprised that you put so many, I'm going to call them high-ticket items on this one evening. It's a lot for us to absorb, to look at 400 and some pages of the packet, and I don't know why you did that. You know, I thought this was a budget meeting. We were going to discuss maybe line by line so we all understand where all the money's going, and then we have the Pulte and the LATs and PUD on there. So I'm kind of disappointed that you put all three. That's all. That's all for now.
Okay, thank you, Deb.
Hey, good evening again. I'll try to keep my four things super quick. It was very disappointing. I wasn't prepared the last meeting. Something came up about wages for the people that operate here in the township. And I just wanted to say, hey, skilled people do cost money. A quarter of my staff make more than I do, and township supervisors do make a decent amount of money, as do very qualified utility directors. You have so many great qualified folks on the staff. and they're compensated as such. So I know that is on your mind, and it was on the last budget meeting and things to be approved, but Kelly does a phenomenal job, Greg does a phenomenal job, and so do the many women and men that work in this township today. Second thing, I know we have a couple of PUD things on here. I won't speak to each one of them, but just simply, development is here. I appreciate the process of keeping this controlled and measured, but I do think the Latson Road one, it is not a matter of if or when, it's going to be if. I mean, it's really when. It's going to come. It isn't if. 3, I appreciate Adam going to the table and coming before you about the phone system. What a great example of keeping up with technology for the township, a phone system that actually works, paying a vendor who actually will be a cheaper resource for you. And then finally, the 4th item, the discussion item that Mr. Reiber has, I think that's a great use of this room. It already gets used. Township Hall gets used for the brown bag lunches for Livingston County. It gets used for some senior events, and what you're proposing makes perfect sense. So thanks.
Thank you, Jeff.
Dead towels.
Good evening. Deb Tolles of 3210 Pine View Trail, and I also wanted to express my gratefulness for your willingness to take another look at the master plan. And it kind of hit home when we were over at Parker Middle School, and they said, look at how long this building sat empty, not knowing what to do with it, because they had planned ahead that this was going to be what we needed, and it turned out not to be what we needed at that time. And I think the same thing might have happened with the master plan. There is a lot more community involvement now, and I think that there's a lot of voices who want to be heard. I also want to speak to the Latson Road PUD that's on the agenda for tonight, and just say that we have reviewed this several times with a lot of people coming before the Planning Commission, and there was a lot of research that was done and a lot of questions asked and a lot of answers given, and they had decided at that time that it was not a fitting application, both because of need, because all of the issues weren't addressed, because it didn't comply with adjacent land uses at that time. And I would just plead with you that you would take the recommendation of the Planning Commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it, sir.
Okay, is there anyone else that didn't get a chance to sign up that would like to speak at the first call to the public? We do have some on the hearing items as well.
I signed up over there. I must have signed up in the wrong spot.
Oh,
I'm not sure. Anyways, good evening. Colleen Quinn, 4042 Brookstone Court. I'll keep it short and sweet. I just wanted to continue to say that I hope you will keep the zoning for the Latson PUD as country estates and not go for this big project. I'm anxious to hear what the legal opinion, the second legal opinion came up with, and I don't think we have that yet, but I would urge you to just keep it the way it is. And then also, I support you re-looking at the master plan. That's excellent. Unfortunately, I can't be there on Wednesday nights, but I did email my stuff to you, Kevin. So thank you all very much.
thank you very much. Anyone else for the initial call to the public?
Oh, just in time. Welcome all. Glad
Hello.
to see you guys. Basically, bottom line is, I don't want to see that station or the PUD. And I'm sure there's been plenty already who have already spoken about the items in regards to the reasons why. Do you want me to go through that again, or is just the fact that I hope you vote against it?
It is up to you. Whatever
Okay.
you'd like to share with us, you're welcome to share with us.
Okay.
Real quick, could we get your name and address?
Oh, I'm sorry. Barbara Tonkovich.
Okay?
I just got back from Florida.
Oh, no problem. And the address?
Okay, basically, the one item about the Planning Commission's recommendation for denial, I want to support that, and I think you guys should too. Okay.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Did you want Barb to give her address?
Hmm?
Does she need to give her address? Barb, can you let her know what your address is?
I'm sorry, what?
Your address?
Oh, 472 Newton Road.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can you spell your last name, please? T as in Tom, O, N as in Nancy, K, O, V as in Victor, I, C, H.
I don't think we'd have gotten that one. Anybody else like to address for the first call to the public? Okay, with that, I will close the initial call to the public at 6:41 PM. Now, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move approval.
Consent.
All right, I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Motion carries. On to the approval, or do we have a motion for the approval of the regular agenda?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Motion carried. Action item number 3 is a public hearing on the proposed planned unit development rezoning ordinance number Z25-03 in consideration of a recommendation for denial of the rezoning, environmental impact assessment, planned unit development agreement, and conceptual PUD plan to rezone 7.44 acres from Country Estates CE to ICPUD, Interchange Commercial Planned Unit Development. This property is located on the east side of Latson Road between Beck Road and the CSX rail line. The request is petitioned by Todd Wyatt. With that, A is a call to the public regarding this proposed planned unit development rezoning.
Mr. Chair, if I may, the applicant does have a brief presentation they wanted
Okay.
to present, so
Okay.
do you want to go with that before the call to the public, perhaps?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Brad Strader from Sincar Consulting, and I'll be doing most of the presentation. I'll let my colleagues introduce themselves.
I'm Jared Kime with Atwell.
Thank you for the consideration tonight, and I think I only have like 12 slides, so I'll try to be brief, but happy to answer any questions of the board, or after you hear from the public, if some of those questions you want to refer back to us, be happy to answer those as well. So this slide is just the team that has worked on it. So we've looked at this site for quite a while to look at the particular uses and traffic and so forth, and came up with these concepts. And we've had a number of meetings with township administration and the planning commission leading up to this one. Next slide. So just, these are kind of maybe the key factors, and maybe a little bit contradictory to some of the items in the resolution, so I'll probably spend a little bit more time on this slide than the other one. So this is the site as shown. It's just over 7 acres, just south of Beck Road, east of Latson Road, just north of the CSX railroad tracks. A couple things we want to point out here. The township has planned this to be commercial and interchange PUD for over 10 years, and it's in the current master plan, so we're consistent with the master plan. And even though the resolution says the uses are not compatible with the Grand River Commercial District and so forth, we have really studied the master plan very thoroughly and definitely believe that we are compatible, and that the uses that we're promoting are very different from the uses along Grand River Avenue, and I know Grand River Avenue really well. I did 2 corridor plans for the township on Grand River going back to 1988, so a lot of history with Genoa Township. There's a provision in the ordinance that says the minimum size of a PUD is 20 acres, but it's not an absolute, because there's a lot of unique characteristics of this site, and so the ordinance does say 20 acres, but, and then there's conditions of when you can go lower, because you don't want to have a lot of small PUDs throughout the township. So why should we vary from the 20 acres? Well, you can look at the site, it's very unique. You don't have other sites in the township that are right next to an interchange, right along Latson Road where the volumes have really gone up, with high volumes and lots of noise and so forth. We're next to a railroad track, we're next to a pond, we have PUD zoning to the east, so there really aren't going to be too many situations where you want to go less than 20 acres, but this is certainly one. There's very unique circumstances to this parcel compared to other ones. Next would be the discussion, like we heard even from a couple residents tonight, just keep country estate. So really when you look at zoning, you have to say what is a reasonable use of the land. And when I would do a lot of work for MDOT, and you can't put, MDOT doesn't want residential next to freeways because of the noise. So I just worked on US 23 in Ann Arbor, and hundreds of thousands of dollars of noise analysis because of expanding US 23 around like Washtenaw, and the cost of noise barriers. The residents are coming out saying we need noise walls and so forth. So MDOT's position is you really don't want to have, especially single-family residential, next to a freeway. And so when you look at different uses, this is not an appropriate site. You're right next to a loud freeway, and this is like right on the freeway. And all the trucks and vehicles that use the interchange ramps coming right off 96. This site in particular has unique characteristics of easy on and off access from I-96, so that's another reason that it's very different from other properties in the township. There was questions at the Planning Commission early on about, well, is there really interest for gas station here? Do we need another gas station? So people that would use this gas station are either going to be people that are on 96 and get on and off the freeway and continue east or westbound, or they're people that are on Latson Road, the residents on Latson Road and the townships to the south that are already on Latson Road, and this would be a bypass traffic. So they would use this gas station and then get on the freeway rather than going up to the gas stations at Grand River. So this situation is very different from gas stations along the Grand River Avenue. That's a different type of commercial than this freeway commercial would be. So again, most of the traffic, when we did traffic impact studies, only about 18% of the traffic to this site would be sort of new traffic. The rest of it would be traffic already on 96 or would be on Latson Road. We've got a separate slide on that one. And again, the policies and uses and so forth are consistent with PUD. The one thing, I guess I'll end on this slide, is why do you do a PUD? Typically PUDs favor the township. Because if you do a straight zoning, you can't get things like concept plans, you can't restrict uses and so forth. The PUD gives the township more control over some of the things that we'll cover. So there's advantage to the PUD, but most of the advantages are to the township and not to the developer. Most developers I work for, I mostly work for communities. Most developers try to avoid a PUD because they think that gives all the benefit to the township. Next slide. So this is just an overview using the graphic is mostly from the master plan with some additional explanation. But again, it's 7.44 acres, and I think I covered why this is, a PUD is appropriate here, even though it's under the minimum 20 acres. But again, there's conditions where you can go less than 20 acres. We'll cover another slide. The PUD that is being offered restricts some of the uses, so we worked with the Planning Commission administration to say what are some of the uses that you wouldn't want to see here. If you do a strict rezoning, you can't restrict those uses, but with the PUD allows the township and the developer to mutually exclude the uses that would be more troublesome here, so we've done that. We have design guidelines, so the township has really good standards for site plan review for landscaping and signs and lighting and so forth, but we've gone over and above the requirements of the ordinance because of things we heard from the residents and the administration and planning commission. So we've imposed additional restrictions on architecture, landscaping, lighting, signs, and so forth. So again, the developer is willing to go above and beyond what the ordinance would otherwise require. I'll cover the landscaping coming up. And then another thing unique about a PUD compared to straight rezoning in Michigan, you can't require off-site improvements, but a PUD allows the developer and the township and the county to negotiate things. So in this case, the developer said, we think a traffic signal would be needed at Beck and Latson Road, and the developer would pay for the installation of that traffic signal. So traffic signals, several $100,000. I mean, people think, oh, it's just a signal, but it's pretty expensive. There'll be benefits to the people that are on Latson Road. There'll be benefits to other property owners and so forth, and certainly benefit to Todd Wyatt in this development, but the developer would be paying for that traffic signal instead of the township or the county having to pay for it. Next. So this is just an overview of the master plan. I know there's discussions about updating the master plan. We heard that from the residents. But again, the township master plan has called for this type of use at this location for more than 10 years, going back to when the interchange was first being contemplated at Latson Road, and some of the developers in the area donated property to help get the interchange constructed. And again, 2023 master plan was amended and still shows the uses that we're showing here. And then there was some question on access. So the county does not allow access within 250 feet of a railroad crossing. The township master plan said they did not want access from this property onto Latson Road. So our access is only off Beck Road. And we'll show it in the concept plan later, but we're showing potentially 3 access points, but these are site plan issues. But the resolution says that we have 3 driveways for a gas station, but that's not correct. It's 3 driveways for all the uses on this property. There's 1 for the gas station, 1 that's shared, and 1 for another use. So that comment in the resolution is incorrect. Next slide. This is the concept plan. So what is a concept plan? And for those that don't deal with zoning all the time, it can be very confusing, but concept plan is just a depiction of what could go in there if the PUD goes through the process. But then we come back to the Planning Commission and Board with detailed site plans. So detailed site plans would have specifics on the building location, the detention pond. There is a wet area on the property, but it's not state regulated. But we would follow all the state regulations and township regulations, and if that area needs to be used as detention, we can work around it, but that's a site plan issue. Just like the ornamental lighting issue that was in the resolution, that's a site plan issue. So with the PUD, you have a concept plan that is an illustration of what could happen there, how the uses are. That's one of the benefits of a PUD. Well, what are you going to do? Because if you do a straight rezoning, you can't require a concept plan. But if you do a PUD, you can say, here's a concept plan. We'll generally follow this design as move forward, but we'd come in with a detailed site plan with all the engineering standards and architecture standards and landscape standards and photometric grids, all that information that goes to the Planning Commission and Board to get approved, and we would meet or exceed all the township regulations. So some of the things that the public has brought up, which are understandable if you don't deal with the layers of zoning, but those are site plan issues. This is just a concept plan. It's basically a rezoning plus other things that you get from the developer before you move forward. If the PUD is approved, then the developer would come back with a site plan for either the whole 7.7 acres or just the first phase and second phase, but the township would approve everything. All the standards would be met. All the design guidelines would be applied. Next. This is, again, a list of what's an advantage of a PUD. So some of the uses that are in gray there are things that the Planning Commission and administration said, we'd rather not see these uses here. If you do a straight commercial rezoning, it would allow all these uses, but we've made some of these permitted, some would be special uses, and the gray are uses that were considered objectionable to the township, so we've agreed to remove those. That would be something that the developers offered to do that the township couldn't ordinarily do with a straight rezoning. Next. Design guidelines. The intent here of design guidelines was to show that we're going over and above. We made a lot of amendments to the design guidelines and so forth. So the design guidelines show illustrations of high quality architecture, lighting. We show pedestrian ornamental lighting because the township requested it. The township said, we need pedestrian-oriented lighting so pedestrians can feel safe crossing the driveway. So we put in pedestrian-oriented lighting at the request of the township because it's not in the ordinance. It's over and above the ordinance to give better protection to pedestrians. If the township says we don't want pedestrian-oriented lighting, we'd be happy to remove it because you asked for it and we put it into the standards. We have other standards on like channel cut lettering shown in the lower right, which is not something that's required, but something we would put in the PUD agreement. So there's a whole list of things that we've offered in this project that are over and above what the ordinance would typically require to make this use more compatible with the area and high quality. We recognize this is the gateway to the southern part of Genoa Township, so we also want a high quality design. So that's why we've agreed to make these changes. Next. This is another example of landscaping. So we've widened the buffer to the south along the railroad track because there's residents to the south, widened the buffer to the east, added more landscaping, more than what the township requires. So we will meet all the township requirements for street lighting along back and streetscape along Latson Road, but we would have other additional landscaping to make this site more compatible with our neighbors, but also we think make a higher quality development. So some of these things that we're showing you maybe couldn't require on Grand River Avenue or reoccupancy in Grand River Avenue, but we think this would be above a lot of the other commercial development along Grand River.
From the utility standpoint, some of the resolutions there had indicated that sanitary sewer service wasn't available to the site, which is not true. As part of the overall innovation interchange PUD, a utility agreement was entered into between the developer and the township, in which the township in the agreement states that the township, through its consulting engineers Tetra Tech, has developed a South Latson Road water and sanitary sewer improvement plan in order to extend public sewer and water to serve the township's interchange planned unit development districts described in the township zoning ordinance. And so that plan is to service all of the properties along the South Latson corridor, not just one particular property, but to service all of the properties within the community heading south along that Latson corridor. And to this point, the developer's already spent over $1 million to extend water main from north of I-96 south and across the rail in order to begin the first steps of providing that connective loop. And the sanitary sewer, the force main, has already been connected and extended south beyond the rail, awaiting for the pump station to be constructed for this whole southern district area, which would provide gravity and pump station service for the entirety of the district to the south here, including this commercial parcel here.
And then just the last couple of slides are on traffic. So we did do a traffic impact study that was done by Fleece and Vandenbrink. We had meetings with the township and the Livingston County Road Commission. And just something we didn't really use at the Planning Commission, but just to kind of remind you, those of you especially that have been in the township a long time, remember when Latson Road was unpaved and there was no interchange and so forth. So the traffic volumes on Latson Road before the interchange were between 250 and 300 vehicles a day. Pretty low. I mean, that's lower than a lot of residential streets. But after the interchange was built, the volumes picked up and have steadily increased. So initially it was 9,000 vehicles a day. Last year it was 11,000 vehicles a day. And you can see there that it's gradually gone up and up. So when you put a gas station at 11,000 vehicles, those cars are going back and forth every day. The idea of the gas station is people can go to this gas station on their way to or from home and not have to go to other locations, not have to go up to Grand River, not go anywhere else. So this is kind of very convenient. And then we also have a lot of traffic on I-96, and that volume has also increased. So this is kind of meeting the need evidenced by the volumes we have on Latson Road, but also the volumes on I-96. Next slide. And this is through the traffic impact study and working with the Road Commission identified we would need a signal at Beck Road, so the developer would pay for that a lot of times you say if there's a signal, we'll only pay 25% because 50% of the traffic is on Latson Road, and what about the people on the west side? But in this case, the developer said, we think that traffic signal is important to access our property and for safety, and we will pay the cost to install the signal. So that would be one of the benefits of a PUD, and that would be in the PUD agreement that we would install this signal when the township and the road commission authorized that the signal should be installed. So that's kind of an overview of the submittal and some of the things we would like you to consider, and we'd be happy to answer any questions now, during, or after the public comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions of the presenting group?
I do. You referred to the sewer.
Yes.
Which the utility agreement, from my understanding, is for the original PUD, not this one.
We have proposed an additional utility agreement that would go along with this one specifically, but the sewer, the pump station itself provides service for the entirety of that district per the plan put together by the township's engineer.
The pump station that will be built for the other PUD, correct?
Well, it's because that one came in first,
Right.
that's where it was
Right.
planned to be. But as any development it is planned for construction, it has to have sewer service made available. So if this site here were to develop prior to that one, then this development here would need to undertake that public infrastructure improvement.
I guess my question is, there's not a separate utility agreement, though, for this PUD site, is that correct?
No, I believe that the township requested that we enter into a separate one for this one.
So what's included in your packet is an amendment
Okay.
to the other utility agreement. So that the only way that I can foresee amending that other agreement would be by going in and amending that other agreement.
Right.
I don't see how we, as part of this PUD, amend an agreement that's not associated with this agreement at all.
Exactly. And that's where I was going with it. I mean, the other PUD is completely separate. And to move forward with amending an agreement for a PUD which is under question, whether it's legitimate or not, I don't think it's legal. I guess I would refer to the attorney whether we tie that agreement to this project.
I don't know that you can, because the ownership group of the other PUD is not the same owners of this.
Right.
So I don't see how you can legally bind somebody who's not part of that agreement.
In any event, right, we understand that, development of this property requires sewer service. So, Todd, I don't think we would have an issue if we were required to enter into a separate agreement. Obviously, you wouldn't have two pump stations built. So if it was constructed under this one instead of the other PUD, it would negate essentially that other PUD's purpose for that utility agreement there, right? As long as it's met at some point in time for the development, it would be required for the first building, before any construction within this entire South Latson corridor can be constructed, requires that pump station to be built, whichever building comes first.
Without a legal utility agreement, though, there is currently no sewer for this parcel. Without.
Correct, but it is planned for, and there are REUs allocated by the township for capacity to service this district. It's just we have to develop that infrastructure, and that comes as part of the engineering process.
My other concern was the 20 acres. While I do understand we have the ability to vary from that, in my mind, varying from that is slightly, not so extreme. You're talking way less than half. So to go from 20 to 7.44, in my mind, is a reach.
I think we understand that, but we think that there are unusual circumstances here, and we are kind of adjacent to PUD, and it was planned for PUD by the township.
So I've just got a couple of comments, and this is all in the packet that we all have access to, and many people in the audience sound like they've read the 400 and something page packet, so thank you for your perseverance. Packet page 113, the quote is, "The proposed development duplicates and does not complement the existing Latson and Grand River sites." Page number 119 of the packet, that is the Township Planning Commission's recommendation for denial based on a various list of issues. Page 126 of the packet says the zoning would not necessarily be consistent with the recent development trends south of the interstate, as many of the parcels remain undeveloped and residential. And then packet page number 127, among other things, it references a zoning code, and it says there is not sufficient capacity of township infrastructure and services to accommodate the proposed uses. So there's a valid list of reasons why I think that the township and the county have recommended denial of this PUD. That is my comment.
Okay. Anyone else on the board wish to ask a question? At this point, I would say it's time to go ahead and open the call to the public regarding this rezoning proposal. We will do that as of 7:06 p.m.
Matthew Hurley.
Hello, my name is Matt Hurley. I live at 4070 Brookstone Court in Howell, Michigan. And I've been involved with a lot of this stuff, at least a lot of the meetings that have been showing what's going on here with the PUD and all that kind of stuff. And I thought that we were going to try to do an overall picture of what the PUD was going to be for the whole area. And it sounds like we're trying to piecemeal this thing now. We're going to do this little spot over here, and we're going to try and get that going, and then we'll try another spot over here. And to me, if we're going through the master plan and we're trying to understand what's really going to go on in this whole area, we ought to wait on this, at least to understand what the overall plan is for the area, and maybe gas stations, like, I know he mentioned there's no gas stations on the other side of the interchange, but there is. There's one right across from the Panda Express. So, all you gotta do is go across to the left, and there's a gas station right there, and then there's a Sunoco station down there, there's a Speedway, so we've got 4 gas stations already in that area. Not to say that that's being planned for a gas station, but it sounds like it is. It just doesn't make much sense to me that we would put another gas station there without, like I said, understanding the whole plan of what we're gonna do in the whole area. That's just my comment, thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Lucy Cardiac.
Good evening. Considering the Planning Commission removed this PUD from its agenda last month because council had advised, after receiving a legal opinion regarding the validity of the PUD from Foster Swift, that because it's critical to the decision-making process that both the board and the Planning Commission have an opportunity to review and understand the information that is provided, I have to say I was surprised when I learned the PUD was on tonight's agenda. As far as I can tell, nothing has changed since the Township Planning Commission and the County Planning Commission both recommended denying it, each with a host of reasons, none of which were trivial, amongst them being the following. The property being discussed hasn't magically tripled in size to meet the requirements for ICPUD rezoning consideration.
Excuse me, someone's due before the meeting. Is that okay?
I'm not okay with that. Okay. The developer has still made no effort to meet any of the 5 benefits required by a PUD site plan as stated in section 10.02.04. This development still borders residential properties, putting them at risk. The proposed use is still in competition with, not complementary to, surrounding businesses. The proposed use is still not compatible with the surrounding zoning and landing influences. There still has been no evidence of a demonstrated need for the proposed uses. I'm pretty sure residents have already made it abundantly clear that they are perfectly happy with driving the few extra feet to the existing gas station right across the street rather than having this one built. The applicant still has not answered any of the questions required by the rezoning application. This new PUD is stated by the developer as an accessory use to the PUD on West Latson that may not be valid and it may be expired. No decision should be made here until 1, a decision is made on the main PUD upon which this PUD is stated by the developer to be an accessory use, and 2, there are enough tenants and/or buildings to justify the need for this accessory use. Neither of those exist yet. The only thing that makes logical sense to me about why this is on the agenda tonight is that this is a formality, so this PUD can be formally denied, and this issue can finally be put to rest. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
I'm gonna be YouTube famous. TikTok famous. I don't know TikTok famous.
Melanie Johnson.
I apologize if I repeat something that someone else says or if we duplicate. So the master plan and its vision at the time that this was considered by the leadership of our township, that wasn't there. That was years away from being built. So when the whole area has changed. So I read somewhere, don't ask me to quote, but it was something to the effect of when circumstances change, and circumstances have changed. The marketing of the west side was all high industrial, large, huge buildings. It's not a tiny thing, because when you look at their rationalization for the east side versus the west side, well, the east side is reasonable because of the west side, and the west side is reasonable because of the east side. So they're both saying, oh, we're both reasonable because of look who our neighbor is. And then I found this was with the planning commissioner, and I think somebody might have said this already, but construction of one building must be near completion on the west portion of the development and before development can be on the east commercial area to the south of the subject line. So I mean, like, it's acknowledged. It's very close neighbors. It has water on the site. What that says is, to me, groundwater is surface water. So surface water is here for a minute, but it goes down. So I'm concerned with both developments about water getting in off of driveways and salt, and to moving that water space to a detention pond, that's fine. But then who's right next to that? Another person with water. So it's like that all serves our wells, and I'm just not confident that this is the development that we want to see here. Not there cannot be development, because that will happen. Buffering. A buffer is lovely. Oh, 70 feet, well, look how great we are. Buffering is not a transition point. So you're not going from country estate to commercial. I mean, that is what you're going to. There's no high-density residential, and if you look at gas stations that are near residential spaces, they're usually higher density, more commercial surrounding. This is out in the middle of nowhere's land. And I'm afraid, too, about the multiplying effects that this will have on the community at large. This is our last little spot of CE in Genoa Township. Let's see. I think that sums up what I have to say, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Melanie. Okay, is there anyone else that didn't sign up that would wish to speak regarding this agenda item, the rezoning of the property? Excuse me?
Deb said she wanted to.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please.
Hi again. Yeah, I had the same question. With the other side of the road, being questioned right now as to the validity of that. I'm wondering why this is on the agenda tonight. Why did this get pushed to tonight? It seems to me it should not until we get that settled. And to the fast-talking gentleman here, he paints a lot of pretty pictures, but landscaping and a traffic light does not appeal to us, does not take away the potential destruction of our area with a gas station. So, you got to change that. That doesn't mean anything to us. And I think what I would do if I was all of you is go with what the Planning Commission, both Planning Commissions did. They have all the reasons why this is not acceptable. We have reasons why it's not acceptable, but they told you some of the legal reasons why it's not acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Please.
Just a few brief points. My name is Deb Tolles.
Could we get your address too?
Address 32
I'm sorry.
Pineview Trail. Yeah. Just to address a few things that this gentleman said, he gave us the illusion that this is sitting right on the edge of the freeway, which it is not. It's actually on the corner of Beck Road and Latson. And if you look at the property just across the railroad tracks and down Sweet Road, there's a lot of residential. Down Beck Road, there's a lot of residential. We're asking that any development that's in that area kind of be compatible with the residences that are already there. We aren't necessarily trying to jump the freeway and match what's on the north side of the freeway, which is a lot further away than these residences are. So that's one issue. The other is that the fact that it does have groundwater, as he said, that it's limited because it has a pond to only 7 acres. Well, that's another good reason, I feel, that we have to be very, very careful about what, if we ever do development there, what we put there, because groundwater and the people's wells in that area, I mean, I think the most thing we want to worry about is protecting our water supply for all of the residences who are Genoa Township residences there. Also, the train track, the light at Beck, and the light at the freeway, to me, just seems like it is going to be a nightmare situation. The timing on those three things, I mean, there's school buses that go down that road. There's a lot of situations, and I just think that that just adds to a more difficult traffic situation for everyone. And I don't know that anyone is complaining about going across the freeway right now to get their fuel. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, would anybody else like to speak on this topic? Okay, just a quick clarification. So this is strictly part of due process. When the application was filed, the project goes before the Planning Commission for a recommendation, then it goes to Livingston County Planning Commission for a recommendation, and then it comes to us for a final say. So it has to happen in a timely fashion. So Mr. Wyatt actually, it would have been, we announced this on the 3rd, or did the first reading, it would have come up on the 17th of February. Mr. Wyatt requested that we move it to tonight because he was unable to attend, and we accommodated that request. So that's why it's on tonight's agenda.
Thank you for that clarification, because I've been questioned a lot, and I've heard it here again tonight. Why are you even hearing this? Because we have to. That's why we're hearing this. That is the process.
And so, seeing no further wish to speak, I will close the call to the public on this topic as of 7:19 p.m.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I did want to make reference to a couple of comments that I received, just for the benefit of the record. I received a call today from Elaine Sampson at 6280 Sundance. She regretted that she wasn't able to be here this evening, but asked that I note her comments, and that was that she is against all of the PUD application that is before you tonight, and wants it to be denied. She's upset that the original PUD was approved during COVID lockdown. She's against the gas station. and she moved here for the rural character, and she wants it to stay that way. That concludes her comments, and I did print and provide at the table for you 3 documents or emails that I received today. One is a letter from Ben Tassich. He just encourages the board to deny the PUD. Then we also received a similar letter from Denise Policella at 4200 Sweet Road in opposition to the rezoning for many of the reasons that were cited here tonight by residents. And then another statement in opposition was received from the coalition to stop the Latson PUD. Those were all given to the board members before the meeting. They have a copy of these letters at the table, and I just want the minutes to reflect that these were received by the board.
Thank you, Kelly.
You're welcome.
Okay, and with that, I would entertain a motion on 3B, the disposition of rezoning ordinance number Z2503.
I would move to deny the adoption of ordinance number Z2503 to rezone partial 471109300046 vacant 7.44 acres South Latson Road located east side of South Latson Road between Beck Road and the rail line from Country Estates to Interchange Commercial Plan Unit Development. This action is based on the proposed ICPUD rezoning, which is found not to comply with the conditions of section 220401, 220402, and 220403, and the qualified conditions of 10.02.03, 10.0204, and 10.0205 of the Township Zoning Ordinance.
Okay, I have a motion.
Support for discussion, please.
Okay.
Can we add the 7 bullet points that are in the memo? And if you could read them, that would be great.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
All right. You want to add those to it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, such as the proposed use of that are being requested are duplicate and not complementary to the Latson Road and Grand River corridor, which is not consistent with the master plan. Developer has not demonstrated that the site environmental features are compatible with the proposed use, since there is no attempt to integrate the wetlands that are located on the site into the site design. There are occupied single-family resident units within 500 feet of the subject parcel. They may be reasonable to develop the site under a current zoning such as residential or other use listed in Table 3.03 of the Township Zoning Ordinance. The site does not meet the required 20-acre minimum. The proposed design elements are not integrated or consistent with the master plan due to the ornamental light, street lights along South Latson Road and are within the site. The Planning Commission did not find that the proposed ICPUD zoning provided a benefit not possible under the standards of other zoning districts, and the site lacks public sanitary sewer services.
Thank you.
Okay, and so I had the motion in support. We are currently in discussion. Any further discussion on this topic? Seeing none, I would ask for a roll call vote, please.
Okay. Hunt,
Aye.
Leiber,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Spiker,
Aye.
Deaton, aye. Susie,
Aye.
Hovarder.
Aye.
Okay. The motion has carried by a 2/3 vote to deny the rezoning. Now, item 3C. Item 3C is the disposition of the environmental impact statement, assessment, dated 9/27 of '24. I would entertain a motion regarding this item.
All right, I would move to deny the environmental impact assessment dated 9/27/24 to rezone parcel 471109300046, vacant 7.44 acres South Latson Road, located on the east side of Latson Road between Beck Road and rail line from Country Estates CE to Interchange Commercial Planned Unit Development. This action is based on the proposed IC PUD rezoning not complying with the conditions of Section 18.08.02, 18.08.05, 18.08.11, 18.08.19, and it fails to satisfy the requirements of 22.0401, 22.0402, 22.0403, and 10.02.03, 10.0204, and 10.0205 of the Township zoning ordinance. The following does not meet the aforementioned sections. The proposed site plan will not harmonious with the existing uses in the immediate area. The non-regulated wetlands and soils located on the site are not preserved or modified in an acceptable manner. The proposed 3 driveways, as indicated on the conceptual plan, is not designed to minimize conflicts between vehicle and with traffic using adjacent driveways. The site does not provide a public sanitary sewer service, and the reasons cited in the denial of the associated rezoning request.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. Do I have any further discussion? Seeing none, I believe we can just go ahead and do a regular, would you like to do, we can do a roll call, go ahead.
Sure?
Yep.
Okay. Reiber,
I agree with the denial.
Walker,
Aye.
Hunt,
Yes.
Deaton, yes. Susie,
Yes.
Barter,
Yes.
Spiker.
Yes. Okay, motion carried. The environmental impact assessment has been denied. Agenda item 3D is the disposition of the PUD agreement. I would entertain a motion on the PUD agreement.
I move to deny the planned unit development agreement to rezone parcel 471109300046, vacant 7.44 acres on South Latson Road, located on the east side of South Latson Road between Beck Road and the rail line from Country Estates CE to Interchange Commercial Planned Unit Development. This action is based on the proposed ICPUD rezoning not complying with the conditions of section 10.02.03, 10.0204, 10.0205, 7.0202, and 10.0701, and has failed to satisfy the requirements of 22.04.01, 22.04.0.02, 22.0403 of the Township zoning ordinance. The following does not meet the aforementioned sections. The Planning Commission determined that they did not find the PUD conceptual plan provided a benefit not possible under the standard of another zoning district. The proposed design elements and access designs are not integrated or consistent with the master plan due to ornamental street lighting along South Latson Road and within the site of the proposed 3 driveways as indicated on the conceptual plan. It is not designed to minimize conflict between vehicle and with traffic use adjacent driveways. The efforts to preserve the 2 wetlands on the site has not been made, and the proposed 3 driveways are in violation of 7.0202K requirement of only 1 driveway to allow for a gas station. The proposed height deviation request is not reasonable for the surrounding area, and the reason cited in a denial of the associated rezoning request.
A second.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. Do I have any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Sure. Walker,
Aye.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Sosi,
Yes.
Deaton, yes. Spiker,
Aye?
Hunt,
Yes.
Reiber.
Aye.
Okay, item 3D, the disposition of the PUD agreement has been declined. Uh, 3E is the disposition of the conceptual PUD plan dated 11/13 of 2024. I would entertain a motion on this disposition.
Okay, I will make a motion to deny the conceptual PUD plan dated 11/13/24 to rezone parcel 471109300046, vacant 7.44 acres, South Latson Road, located on the east side of South Latson between Beck Road and rail line from Country Estates CE to interchange commercial planned unit development. This action is based on the proposed IC PUD rezoning, not complying with the conditions of section 10.0203, 10.0204, 10.0205, and 7.0202, and 10.0701, and it fails to satisfy the requirements of 22.0401, 22.0402, and 22.0403 of the Township zoning ordinance. The following does not meet the aforementioned sections. The Planning Commission determined that they did not find that the PUD conceptual plan provided a benefit not possible under the standards of another zoning district. Compatibility of all the potential uses allowed in the proposed zoning district with surrounding uses is not met. Proposed uses are found to duplicate the existing uses in the Grand River Corridor area. The proposed design elements and access design are not integrated or consistent with the master plan due to ornamental street lighting along South Latson and within the site, and the proposed 3 driveways as indicated on the conceptual plan is not designed to minimize conflicts between vehicle and with traffic using adjacent driveways. A judicious effort to preserve the 2 wetlands on the site has not been made. The proposed 3 driveways are in violation of 7.02.02K. Requirement of only 1 driveway is allowed for a gas station. Proposed height deviation request is not reasonable for the surrounding area, and the reasons cited in the denial of the associated rezoning request.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. Do I have any further discussion? Seeing none, I will ask for a roll call vote.
Okey dokey. Reiber,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Hubbard,
Aye.
Susie,
Aye.
Deaton, aye. Spiker,
Aye?
Hunt.
Aye.
Okay, and with that, item 3E, the disposition of conceptual PUD plan has also been denied.
Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you for letting us present tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. At this time, given that we're a little bit into the meeting here and we have another fairly long topic to come up, I don't think it would be unreasonable to take a brief break in case anyone wanted to use the restroom or get a drink. It is 7:34 p.m. We will reconvene in 10 minutes at 7:44 p.m.
We're ready.
I can't believe everybody's leaving.
Okay. After a short recess, we will call the meeting back to order. Action item number 4.
Wait, do I need to take a re-roll call since we're
I don't think so.
No? Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Oh, that's okay. Action item number 4 is a public hearing on the proposed fiscal year 2025-2026 budget funds for 101, 202, 208, 212, 249, 401, 402, 464, 532, and 853. First item up is call to the public on the fiscal year budget. None? Okay. Okay, yep.
I can't miss it.
Deb, come on down.
So I did look over the budget, and at first I was confused with the way the numbers were laid out, but then I figured it out. But I really did want to hear a lot of line-by-line items, because a lot of those, some we can understand with how you describe it, but some we don't. And some of those are big items, lots of money, like $50,000 and up. And I thought it would be nice if you could just go over some of these expenses so that we all understand what you understand. And that's all.
Okay.
Can we ask for specifics? I think we should.
Yeah,
ask
is
for
that,
specifics.
I was just going to note, this is the third time the board's seen this, and I appreciate it's a lot to look at. Moving forward, we're always available. If you want to call ahead of time and sit down and go line by line. I mean, Kelly's here 5 days a week, and a lot of us are here a lot of days a week. So, but if you have specific questions, that would be great.
But when do you want to hear those specific questions?
right now is fine.
Should I?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I did have a couple things that stood out to me.
Okay.
It looked like nobody was taking a raise this year. Is that correct?
None of the electeds.
Yes, and I was
appointments.
happy to see that, so that is probably some savings. And I was wondering about cell phones. Is that expense all just business cell phones? Is that what we're talking about? It looks like 10,000 plus.
A number of years ago, the determination was made that rather than the township provide a cell phone to each employee, they would just give an allowance for the township employee to use their own cell phone.
Oh, I see.
And
Okay.
so that is what that
That's
number
how
is
you
for.
did it.
That does actually also include the employees of MHOG because they are under us.
Okay.
So there's about 36 people on that.
Okay,
on
that's
that
a lot.
number.
And then the health and life insurance. It looks to me like that's, what, 380,000? And who gets their health and life insurance covered
All of the full-time employees.
in this office?
Yeah, and including MHOG.
Okay.
And then the electeds that are semi-full-time. Not the trustees, but
I
the
understand
clerk,
who
myself, and the
I'm
supervisor.
not taking health benefits, no.
Okay.
Do you get a
The other thing
stipend
is-
instead?
Right, I get a small stipend instead.
Yeah, the other thing that needs to be noted on a big part of it goes with MHOG, and that expense is shared by all the supporting units of that. Marion, OCL.
They all chip into
Yeah,
that
they all
fund.
chip into that. So
Okay.
that's not just our total expense.
Okay. And then the subdivisions, there's a lot of, subdivision expenses. And does our township cover those, or are they reimbursed?
So if
Are
you're
we
talking, are you talking about the budget that says SAD roads and lakes?
No, it was listing each of the subdivisions separately.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's its own budget, and it's for special assessment districts that neighborhoods have petitioned us to help them with.
Okay.
And we are strictly just the financial aspect to those districts, and then we get reimbursed by them.
You do get reimbursed.
From their winter tax
We
bill.
get reimbursed.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. And then the park, path and park maintenance, that was 150,000, so that's this whole property here?
And also the sidewalks, like from downtown Brighton out, all the sidewalks that you see.
Latson Road, Grand River.
All of that is on there too?
And that's mostly snow removal.
Okay. And are some of these contracts, like that one, for instance, are these with local companies, local people? Do you try to do that first?
Cooper's
get
Turf
local-
Management is who handles the lawn and snow for the township.
What is the name?
Cooper's Turf Management.
And they are local.
Okay.
Yep, and they've been doing it for quite some time.
And then the Herbst home, you had utilities, you had two things listed. Utilities, 10,000, and then next line, electric, natural gas, 25,000. So what am I not understanding with that? It sounds like the same thing.
The
Utilities, then-
large chunk of that is, there's an alarm system for MHOG actually rents the barn on
Okay.
on the site
On that
from us. And so that we have Comcast cable so that we can have internet, so that we can have an alarm system.
Okay.
Well, I can clarify
And-
that too. The Herbst Home Utilities is strictly for what's across the street and those utilities. The second line item, the utility, natural gas, that's for the township hall. So we wanted to track the expenses associated with that property separate from the expenses for the township hall. So we added that line item and separated out those expenses. from that
Okay,
property.
so that's separate. And I think that's all I had questions about. So thank you very much. for clarifying.
Okay, thank you very much. And with that, I see no further hands for discussion. So does the board have any discussion it wishes to have on this final budget as presented? Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the budget.
Did you call the public?
Oh, sorry.
He did? Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah, and number 4 actually doesn't require any
Okay.
action. That's more just the public hearing and then the board discussion. If there, a motion would be appropriate for item number 5. not item number
Perfect.
4.
I do want to thank Kevin and Kelly and my peers here, Dr. Greg, to take the time to go through. The comment was made that this is not the first time we've seen it, and we broke up into groups, for Open Meetings Act and everything, and it was, we had an opportunity to go line by line by line and ask the same questions you did. What is this? What does that mean? What does this acronym mean? And it was time consuming. It was very beneficial, especially being newbies, to look at something, $6.8 million budget. So
That's a lot.
it is a lot to take in.
And just to clarify, the budget, the initial budget presentation was due before any of us took office. So the very first budget you saw was prepared by the previous board, and they did a good job and gave us a budget that was very respectable. We just tightened up on a few things and made a few adjustments that we felt were necessary. And, Bill wasn't kidding, especially Bill. Had a lot of questions on the budget, and so we did. We would line by line by line, right through the budget, and I don't think any penny was left unturned. But the other thing is, it is kind of a guidance that we don't have to spend that much money if we choose not to. But we'd rather have it there and not use it than not have it and have to come back and ask for it. So with that, if the board has any further discussion, otherwise I would entertain a motion regarding the budget.
So item 5 being consideration of approval for general appropriation of funds. All funds at one time, Kelly? Fine?
Yes.
Okay, I would move approval for funds for fiscal year beginning April 1, 2025 and ending March 31, 2026 for budget fund numbers 101, 202, 208, 212, 249, 401, 402, 464, 532, and 853.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? With that, I do believe we need a roll call vote.
Say, but I'd be happy
Not
to.
for number 5.
Nope.
You will for number 6.
Okay. Okay. Well, then, in that case, we'll just do a regular all vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Motion carried. On to number 6, action item. which is a request for the approval of Resolution 250303A, the 2025-2026 General Appropriations Act budget for the fiscal year beginning April 1st, 2025 and ending March 31st, 2026.
So, trying to see, I think it's in this resolution, just for clarification. And this publication that we put in the paper confuses so many people. And the wording, the property tax millage rate proposed to be levied to support the proposed budget will be subject of the hearing. This millage rate, we approve, it's a Form L4029, we approved that in May. But by law, this wording has to be in there, and it confuses a lot of people, and rightfully so. So, just clarification.
Absolutely, and I agree. We did get we fielded some calls on that very subject, but we are not determining the millage rate this evening.
Yeah, and this resolution, just to add, this is a requirement of the Charter Township Act and the Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act. So the language in this is set by the state, and it's just a formal reflection of the approval of the budget and that the millage rate supports the budget.
Nothing's easy.
Okay, so with that, I will entertain a motion regarding Resolution 250303A.
I move to approve and adopt the 25-26 General Appropriations Act, also known as 2025 and 2026 Budget Resolution 250303A.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? Okay, with that, I request a roll call.
Okay, Hunt.
Aye.
Ryber.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Hobarter.
Aye.
Susie.
Aye.
Deaton, aye. Spiker.
Aye. Okay, with that, Resolution 250303A has passed. Action item number 7, request for approval of Resolution 250303B, wages and salaries for appointed officials.
Mr. Chair, this is just another requirement of the law that the wages and salaries of appointed officials be set by the Township Board in the form of a resolution. So we've prepared this resolution. It's proposing no increases for the appointed officials.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the resolution.
Which one? Want to spell it out, Bill?
Do I have to? Yes. I motion to approve Resolution 250303B, wages and salaries for appointed officials.
A second.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will ask the clerk for another roll call.
Hobarter.
Yes.
Susie.
Yes.
Deaton, yes. Spiker.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Ryber.
Yes.
Walker.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carried. That moves us on to action item number 8, which is a request for approval of Resolution 250303C, salaries for elected officials.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Same story here, that the law requires that we adopt by resolution the wages for the elected officials, and there is no proposed change from the current fiscal year to the next fiscal year to these wages in this resolution.
Okay. So with that, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve Resolution 250303C, salaries for elected officials.
I'll support.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will ask the clerk for a roll call, please.
Hunt.
Aye.
Ryber.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Hobarter.
Aye.
Susie.
Aye.
Deaton, yes. Spiker.
Aye. Okay, the motion is carried. Action item number 9. This is a request for the introduction of proposed ordinance number Z2504, and to set the meeting date for considering the proposed ordinance for adoption before the Township Board on Monday, March 17th, 2025. The request for zoning map amendment involves rezoning of 127.57 acres from agriculture, AG, to low-density residential, LDR, with residential planned unit development overlay, RPUD, to allow for a proposed 55-unit, single-family site condominium development located at the northwest corner of Chalice Road and Bauer Road. The proposed rezoning is for the following parcels: 4711-23-400-008, 4711-23-400-007, 4711-23-400-001, and 4711-23-300-003. And the request is submitted by Pulte Homes of Michigan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we've got before us this evening a request to introduce and set the hearing for the next meeting. This is a requirement of the Charter Township Act that the board first introduce and then set the hearing for the next meeting. This project was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission and Livingston County Planning, so it is now prepared and ready for the board to review it. So we're asking for you to set that for the next meeting, which will be Monday, March 17th.
Okay. Discussion among the board? Okay, at this point, actually, I guess we don't really need a motion. We're just
We do.
announcing.
We do.
Oh, we do need a motion to approve. Okay, so in that case, I will ask for that motion, please.
Then I'd make a motion to introduce proposed ordinance number Z2504 and to set the meeting date to consider adoption before the Township Board on Monday, March 17th, 2025, for the purpose of considering the proposed zoning map amendment.
I support that.
Okay, I have a motion, I have support. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will ask all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Motion carried. We will set that hearing for the proposed ordinance adoption rezoning for Monday, March 17th, 2025. Action item number 10, review of fiscal year 2024-2025 third quarter budget to actual report.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. This is not an action item for tonight. This is just delivery of the third quarter budget to actual report, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have on it. This is meant to just provide a snapshot of where we are in the budget through December for the current fiscal year budget. I should add that since we're nearing the end of the fiscal year, likely at that next meeting, you will also have a request before you to amend this current year budget. You're going to see some line items in this quarter three report that have gone over, some that are well below. So before you at the next meeting will be adjustments to the current fiscal year budget. But if you have any questions about this, we can talk about it tonight, or you can contact me anytime and we can go through it.
Well, it's really tough to give actuals here. A lot has happened since December 31st, because I'm seeing things like, well, wait a minute, that's been paid, but this only goes through December 31st. So next meeting's budget will be more fine-tuned.
Yes,
And it appears it would be under budget.
absolutely.
Yep. Oh.
Okay, any further questions? Seeing none. Item number 11 is a consideration of a request to approve a proposal from Evolving Technologies, Go2 Connect, for the purchase of and installation of a new phone system for the Township Hall with an initial outlay not to exceed $2,200 from Fund 101-261 751000, and a 36-month service contract not to exceed $517.37 a month from Fund 101-265-850-000.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This proposal has been put forth by our IT and Facilities Director, Adam Van Tassel. As was indicated in his memo, our current phone system contract is with Comcast. The rate for that is $9.57. That contract expired, and we have gone out to search other options for phone vendors. We did ask for a proposal from Comcast, which we received. However, we received 2 other proposals that were better than that one. Adam is recommending the Evolving Technologies Go-To Connect. Not only does this represent a cost savings to the township, but we feel like that system best meets our needs. The devices are similar to what staff is currently using, so there will be not much training associated with switching over to that program. And additionally, their proposal included the cost of setup, training, and we felt like that was a better value rather than having to do it ourselves.
Yeah, I spoke with Adam, and the lower bidder did not have a specialized phone for Kathleen to use at the point of switchboard, so to speak, and there was no training or installation, so that would have obviously added to the cost, and the thought process kind of was, if they didn't think to include that, is this really the way we want to go? Adam was very confident that his recommendation here will be able to handle the job and will be an improvement on our current phone system.
And the administrative committee sat with him and kind of went over all this, because this is, again, a lot to take in, and there's a lot of key features that we'll be getting back that we'd lost over the years, like caller ID and voicemails to your email address. So there's a lot of good features we're getting back too, not to mention it's quite a bit cheaper. So
If you total up even just for the first year alone, from our current Comcast contract, we will be saving $3,085 just the first year.
Good.
So, and we get new technology,
And
which
better.
is good, so.
We also fully expect these phones to last far longer than 3 years, but that's just what they lock into.
we can hope.
Yeah, you never know. Technology could change and they could become paperweights, but we're not expecting that yet. So, and so with that, I would entertain a motion regarding the phones.
Mr. Chairman, Brother Supervisor, can I ask a question?
Absolutely. Approach.
My name is David Pickett, 1017 Sunrise Park Street. It says there that this contract expired in 2024. When in 2024?
The Comcast contract?
Correct.
I don't have the exact date that it
No,
expired.
it was in December. We've been on 1 month out of contract.
Pardon me?
We have been 1 month out of contract.
So, I mean, I don't know Adam or anything else, but anytime I ever had a budget, I always knew the ending date, and I went to the people on the particular event I was entertaining, and I asked, when is this contract up? I would then go out for bids. It seems like it's a little after the fact here. I mean, obviously, it's a great cost savings, but what did you guys incur? You know, because I'm not saying you did this.
Yep.
I think you guys do a great job, all of you that got elected, and you take it on the chin for a couple $100 a meeting. I think that's great and admirable that you do it for all of us, and thank you for that. But I would want to question Mr. Adam, I don't know his last name, but why didn't you bring that forward prior to the end of the year or the end of the contract?
No, absolutely.
Well,
So-
and
Right there.
It did, it went up $400 a month because we are out of contract.
But
And
that
that's how-
just happened.
That's how we caught it, that's how every check that goes out of the township has to be signed by myself and the treasurer. And I questioned why the bill was significantly higher, and that was when we realized they were out of contract. And so now we are working on what Mr. Pickett's recommendation is. We've already established, we've already started that by having our bookkeeper sit down with Adam and come up with all of our contracts and expiration dates, and we're going to start being proactive before these contracts expire.
Yes, Clerk Deaton has taken the lead on making sure that we get a nice itemized list of every contract we have under service and how long it's under service for. We've unfortunately been a little preoccupied with a couple other larger items that, not that we shouldn't be paying attention to everything, but there have been a couple very large ones that have been taking up a little bit of our time, so we did miss that. But nice save by Clerk Deaton, and we will get that.
So, just for clarification's sake here, we had unfortunate circumstances here at the township with one of our elected officials, where jobs and duties kind of got dispersed out. And I believe this is one of them that kind of landed on Adam's desk that was not originally his responsibility, so.
Thank you for that explanation.
Although technically it is technology.
And a contract, so I don't know. So, I'm just saying.
Well, absolutely. We are working to correct that as well as the other things we're working on.
We are on it.
So, again, with that, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the proposed proposal from
Evolving
Technologies / Go-To Connect for the purchase and installation of new phone systems for the Township Hall with the initial outlay not to exceed $2,200 and a monthly rate not to exceed $517.37.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, I would ask all those in favor to signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Motion carried. Item number 12 is a request for approval of the closed session minutes from February 25th, 2025.
Okey dokey. I have the closed session minutes for everybody to review. This is for Candy.
This is from the special meeting that we had to have regarding the legal proceedings.
So we're going to get a copy too, right?
No. For Bill and for Todd, please pass that down.
Okay, they have your names on them, so make sure you get the right one. So we just have to take a couple of minutes to read these over. If there's just very simple errors of like a spelling error or punctuation that you wish to have corrected, point that out, and that'll get taken care of. But if you want to change the contents of the minutes, we will have to go into a closed session and discuss those changes.
Sorry, they're pre-sealed.
Kind of
Like
broke
opening
mine.
Christmas presents.
Yeah, that security seal was nice.
Yes, and then bring back to me. Nope, it's not on to. She's the attorney.
Was this you doing the recording?
We missed you, Patty, but Kelly did a good job, too.
Good. Check.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just good. I mean, there was a lot of action back and forth, and it got reduced down into just one sentence statements like we had talked in the previous meeting.
So just a note to clarify, if everyone's done reading it, any typos, grammatical errors we can make here. If there are substantive changes, things that require discussion, we would be required to make a motion to go into closed session so that we can discuss those items in closed session because the contents of the closed session are confidential. So if there is
I do not.
any considerable changes that require a motion for closed session.
If you accept them, please pass them down. I have to take them back.
Yeah, there's no changes. Otherwise, we need a motion to approve them.
I'm still reading, almost done.
No problem.
Great job.
Okay, all the minutes have been handed back in, so at this time I would entertain a motion to either approve the minutes or enter closed session to amend them.
I move to approve the minutes of the closed session, minutes, move to approve the minutes of the closed session.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? All right. All those, let's see.
Roll call.
Do we have to roll call even though we're not
No.
going into closed session?
We do not. The roll call is only if closed session is
Yeah.
involved.
Okay.
Yep, so, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Motion carried? And it's approved. Item number 13, discussion of resident enrichment opportunities as submitted by trustee Bill Reiber.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, earlier on, I had asked what happens with this room when we're not in session, voting and everything else like that. And for a great portion of the time, it's empty. It's a resource, it's a great gathering space. We can pack in, we had a town hall meeting here where there was 50 people here, right?
Comfortably.
So, my idea was to directly engage the residents of Genoa Township, using taxpayers' money to get direct, instant feedback and enrichment by actually holding training sessions here, open to the public, first come, first serve on sign up. And this is open for discussion, but the idea was to go in and train, just the regular civilians, myself included, on CPR or the proper use of AEDs or administering Narcan in case of ODs, emergency weather preparations. Something else just came to me today when I was reaching out to the Livingston County Sheriff Department, but how do we initiate or start a neighborhood watch program in our neighborhoods? And I just thought that would be an awesome use of the taxpayers' money, just to get their money right back into them and to teach them, and myself and anybody else interested, a useful, potentially life-saving skill. So it's just up here for discussion. I did put in my memo that, this would be funded. We would set aside some money in our budget to fund this for residents of Genoa Township. We wouldn't limit participation just to residents. If a neighboring township or city wanted to participate, they would self-fund themselves, but for us here in Genoa Township, we would just pick up the tab. It's our money anyways. So I just wanted to put that before the board. I mean, we don't have to vote on anything. I am reaching out to the Livingston County Sheriff Department, the American Red Cross, the American Heart Association. I'm finding it a little bit difficult because a lot of stuff is online and you can take these courses and get certified. My idea was to have a certified trainer come on site here to our township hall and get out the CPR dummies or get out a set of AED paddles and train people on how to use these things. I think the struggle is just going to be on site, getting people on site and willing to set aside a couple of hours or something, maybe once a month. If we decide to go forward with this, I would propose, these are the classes for the 12 months of 2025 or 2026.
I think it's an excellent idea.
I think it sounds fantastic. And there are some of these that you listed, like great ideas, but I think the fire department may already do some of the trainings right here in the building next door. So it might be worth a reach out to them to see if they are offering any of those.
Yeah.
My concern is who would oversee this and who would be in the building in the evenings that we scheduled and how we maneuver through it is all.
That was my same concern, and staffing of, evenings and et cetera, we're asking a lot for them to do that. And that, even though there is an expense associated with that we have to consider as well. And I think it's a great idea, but I think that it's kind of like too much too soon. We're all trying to do everything we can, ramp up quickly with all kinds of ideas, and it has a lot of merit. And again, your comment about whether it be once a month for some class or whatever, but it's still, we have to consider the staffing of that and the people involved with that as well.
No, good. I thought about that too. I mean, that's the logistics, that's the nuts and the bolt and how we're going to pull this thing off. But I just wanted to break the ice. I wanted to see if it was positively received by the board. Like I said, how much these things are going to cost, exactly what the breakdown of the training sessions are going to be. I think we can figure that out, but if there's some energy here to go forward with it, I'll go ahead and start getting some quotes, and we can talk in future meetings, on how to make this thing work.
One thing I would like to potentially add is that if it's for profit, where the instructor or something is going to make a ton of money and we give them the room for free, I don't think that that's a good idea.
You can't do that.
Yeah. I would try, obviously, if the fire department does this already as a free service, could either we come over there, or could you send a couple of trainers over here? And we just use a free service just, 200 yards away. Same thing with the sheriff's department. We were gonna have my homeowner association come up with a neighborhood watch.
That's a great idea. I like that.
And that type of stuff it's just on the residents, the volunteers. There's literally no cost for that type of things, and I'm sure we could probably get a deputy over here to sit down with us and show us the steps on how we form a neighborhood watch group. So, yes, I would try to prioritize the freebies, but your point is well taken, Janine. If they're gonna be making a few bucks off of it, I don't know what the legal ramifications are. Can we have somebody, we were entertaining food vendors, the food trucks out here, and they're gonna turn a profit on township property.
We were gonna charge them.
Okay, well, then I would, that's one of the fine details. Do we take a percentage? Is it a set fee that's on paper right now?
I would also, there was a comment, if they possibly have any supplies available for sale, that would have to be something that vendor would have to take. We wouldn't collect the money here. We wouldn't have a person in the building to be taking cash payments at night.
Now, I've been to some of these trainings through Life 360, and they'll sell you tourniquets. They'll sell you all these different medical supplies and patches and all these kinds of things. You pay them directly with a credit card or cash, and you walk out the door with a life-saving kit in your hand.
We did last year as part of our employee wellness program. That was one of the sessions that we offered people, was like the CPR, AED training. One day we had staff go to the fire station, just across the wetland. And then they also came here and did a training session here for staff. So we have enjoyed a really nice partnership with Brighton Fire. I know that they offer those kind of opportunities. And particularly during office hours, that's easy. The building is here, the room is here, staff is here. I also know we do allow homeowners associations to use the room as well, at no cost during business hours. So we don't have somebody that can cover it after business hours, but any homeowners association that wants to use this room or the conference rooms just needs to call and ask, and we make arrangements for that.
Interesting. Anyways, that's my comment. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, any board comments?
I was curious where we're at on the My Genoa app.
We've got a call set up tomorrow.
Tomorrow, 11 a.m., myself and a couple others are going to meet on a Zoom call with the administrator of the app and get the ball rolling.
Yep.
Can I make a comment on that? On the app?
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's a great idea, but I happen to like getting everything by text, so for me, it's a great idea. But when you set that up, I think every possible option you can put on there that people can, let's say, subscribe to, choose, I want that, I want that, I want that. Meetings for sure. Maybe a special weather thing coming up, or like the road closure on Chilson, those kind of things. But there's so many other things. I'll have to bring my list because I wrote a bunch, but everything. Are you going to be able to decide what you want to post on there? Are you going to be able, or somebody going to be able to pick all the things you would like the app to send out?
I believe so.
Okay.
We're hoping we'll be able to assign like if you just want the absolute number one
person
top
can just say
priorities.
what you want. You can
So
click right what you want.
we can put a lot on
As options.
as options.
Yeah.
And it's my understanding that the recipients
Can
could
pick.
choose, I only want to learn about trash day reminders or tax reminders or meeting reminders
Okay.
or everything.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, that I think it's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Really good.
I'd like to talk with MHOG and Brighton Area Fire Authority and, all the entities that we're affiliated
What
with
do you
and
think?
see if they want to have a little touch of it.
Right. I like it. I think it's going to be great. But the more
Thank you.
options, the better. And like you said, people can pick what they want. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further board comments? Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion adjourned at 8:30.
Look, that wasn't.